Hey friends, it's Shanda here. And I was inspired to come on YouTube and create a little series that explores some journaling exercises with the tarot. I was inspired by my book, Meditations in Tarot, to give you some journaling prompts as a way to begin working with the tarot. We're going to start with the major arcana, the 22 major arcana from the Fool to the World. All you need for this journaling series is a tarot card deck. I would definitely pull out the major arcana. The two cards we're going to work with today are the Fool and the Magician, and have a journal, have a pen, or a device that you can type on. You can type some notes into. Obviously, feel free to stop and start, pause this video as you wish, to give the journaling prompts some thought. And I'm going to keep it really simple. And we're going to keep moving through the cards. You do not need my book to work with this, by the way, the journaling prompts, and all you need is a tarot deck and a notebook. But if you do want to order, please feel free to go to my website, shandaparkinson.com, and grab that if you'd like to work with that later. Okay, so let's get into sharing mode here, and I'm going to pop up my little PowerPoint. So we are going to work with the Fool and the Magician. And what we're going to start with is the Fool, and just talk a little bit about the archetypes associated with the Fool, because that will help us understand how this card sometimes shows up in our own life. And so the archetypes are the child, the innocent, and the gambler. It's a symbolic representation of times in our lives where we too feel like we are starting something new. We are in our most childlike, youthful playfulness. We're willing to gamble. We're willing to take a risk. We're willing to take a leap of faith. Those are the times in our life. The Fool often shows up. The astrological sign, Aquarius, the planet Uranus, and the element, the air, are all associated with the Fool. And so with those particular placements and correspondences, it is often when we are at our most willingness to be impulsive and take risks that the Fool will show up, as is represented by all three of those. And so the journaling prompt for the Fool is as follows. How do you typically respond when faced with change? So a great way to think about this card and kind of internalize and get close to, build a relationship with this card, is to wonder about for yourself how you respond when faced with change. The second journaling prompt question, is there anything you can do in advance to help make taking a leap of faith feel more safe? Taking a leap, taking action that feels dangerous, risky. Is there anything you can do in advance to help yourself with that? I personally love change. I love the Fool. Obviously, unexpected changes that are as scary and terrifying, hurtful or harmful aren't great. We know that life is about change. This card can help set us up for to be more prepared for the changes that are inevitably a part of life. And one of those things is to build in tools, ways of approaching the changes in your life that can make you feel more empowered. And for myself personally, because I do thrive on a bit of change, I definitely do a ton of journaling. I do a ton of tarot. I give myself plenty of mental space and room to go in my room, to go in my cave, to disconnect from others, to isolate and to breathe, and try to presence myself in the moment so I can feel out how to hold my center as I move through the changes in my life. And then I suggest, as a tip, this isn't a journaling prompt, but you can write them down. List five new things you might like to try. So like preparing yourself to take changes in life, can be helpful to actually practice doing things we're not always comfortable with. And when you practice those things, it can just kind of prepare you to build up some stamina for the changes that are inevitably going to come along. All right, the Magician. So let's talk about this particular card and the archetypes associated with it. It is the Alchemist, the Wizard, the Sorceress, the Crone. So this is a card that can often come up at times in our lives when we are being prompted to create, we are inspired to create, we are able to tap into our own capabilities of harnessing the forces of nature and the universe to magically create in our lives. The astrological sign is Gemini, planet is Mercury, and the element is air. And so oftentimes our magic works through ideas, being able to give shape and form to things that pop in and inspire us on a regular basis. This is a great card for creators, artists, people who love to work with the elements and the forces of nature, witches, druids, magical folk. And so um, here are some journaling prompts to work with the magician. How do you feel about the possibility of being able to harness the energy of nature to create? How do you feel about that? Number two, if so, how does that work for you? What are some examples? What are some experiences you've had where you were like, dang, I created that. I created that. I was responsible for that. What are your tools? What are your tools as a magician in your own life? What triggers your moments of self-doubt about your own skills and talents? That's the shadowy side of the magician. We want to definitely examine imposter syndrome and when that shows up in our life, what triggers it, and how can we better cope with that so that it doesn't override our desire and our actions, our desire to create and our actions. What area of your life right now may need your current focus, concentration, and resourcefulness? Well, that's all of the things that are associated with the magician. It does require focus. It does require concentration and resourcefulness. It also oftentimes requires our commitment, a commitment of mind, our commitment of intention. And because of the Gemini Mercury air quality of this card, where we set our mind, what we set our mind on, and what we decide is incredibly important. All right, folks, I will be back with more journaling prompts with the major arcana and tarot. Thanks for joining me here. Be well.